Hello, my name is Mike Hackley, and I'm going to be giving a SWOT analysis as well as a financial outlook overview for my capstone company, Netflix. When we were looking at the financial performance, one of the first things that I noticed was that there does appear to be a correlation between the spikes in volume whenever there is a quarterly financial released. There does not appear to be a activity on the day all the time, but when we look at the week prior as well as the week after the announcement of the quarterly financials, we can see that typically there is a spike, and when that spike in volume does happen, in most cases, there's going to be a decrease in the stock price itself. One of the few areas that we see an increase after a spike in volume is going to be in quarter three of 2021, where you can see there that as the spike happened in the latter half of that announcement week, that the stock price itself did actually increase. When looking at how the performance of stocks, you know, affects the company performance, one of the things we looked at was that there does appear to be a negative correlation between the proceeds from stock and the net income. Basically, as the proceeds from stocks decrease, the net income for revenue and actually increases for Netflix. So that negative correlation, and when we run the data, it appears to be about a negative 65% correlation. So it does appear to really fall in line with that negative correlation. And when we begin looking at how social media can impact the value and the performance of a company, Netflix itself uses a lot of social media channels to constantly market to its client to keep at the top of mind. But I noticed something interesting. They actually are using one of their competitors to bolster their own usage. And you can see that when we look at the trailer performance that Netflix uses the streaming platform YouTube to host, we can see that there is a number of YouTube um, trailers that have views in excess of 1 million. In particular, that's going to be Intergalactic as well as A Trip to Infinity. Both of those were actually on the website for over 10 days. However, there does not seem to be a direct correlation between simply the amount of time that there is on the platform and the number of views. As you can see, when we're looking at things like the Real Bling Bling, Eat the Rich, The Floor is Lava, those have been on the platform for much longer, but there does not appear to be the amount of traction for those. So there, that does not seem to be a direct correlation. It seems to be coincidental in this particular manner. When we're looking at the value of the data that drives Netflix, when looking at the D Nugget website, they give a formula that allows you to actually monetize or calculate the monetary value of data. And the way they say to do this is to actually first identify the business goal. And here we're identifying the business goal that Netflix stated in their most recent corporate filing, that their goal is to grow globally by 8%. So currently, there are 220 million Netflix subscribers. When we look at 220 million times 8%, the potential growth now looks at 17 million 600,000 subscribers that Netflix would like to grow to. Now, when we look at Netflix's financial records, they indicate that the average revenue per subscriber on a global basis is $13.91 US. So the formula that D Nuggets gives is to um, multiply the new subscribers times the average retail or revenue per subscriber, and that's going to give us our data value. So when we look at the new subscribers that we're looking to gain at 17,600,000 times the per subscriber revenue of $13.91, that allows us to have a data value for this particular initiative of $244,816. That moves us into the strengths of Netflix. Um, Netflix is adaptable, starting off as a small DVD company and growing to the largest streaming service in the world. Definitely takes a lot of adaptability as you're going through that. They did all of that through a customer-centric algorithm that allowed them to make decisions based on the actual needs and wants and desires of the customer. This allowed them to have a large global footprint, again, the largest global footprint of any streaming service. That growth that they had was both rapid and it's been sustained. There has not been an interruption of the growth trajectory of Netflix until quarter three of 2021, when they actually began having the very first decrease in subscription. And even with that, they still remain the number one competitor inside of the video on demand market segment. When looking at the weaknesses of Netflix, cash flow to liabilities ratio continues to be something that haunts this company because of the way that they monetize their subscriptions. It is difficult to keep a positive cash flow when you're using so much cash to actually purchase new content and things of that nature. So the rising cost of new content continues to be a weakness for Netflix as production costs continue to skyrocket. That is putting a lot of pressure on the cash flow that they already have. This can lead them to a need to restructure their pricing, which again could be a deficit in the market. Areas of opportunity for Netflix at this point um, are getting a little bit difficult to find. One of the areas that I was able to find is that there is an emerging Latin American market that is continuing to grow as that region continues to gain more and more access to technology. There's also going to be an opportunity to update the mid-tier content. A lot of talk has been given about the amount of money that Netflix spends on its top tier quality content. However, content that's been around for a little while seems to get stale and outdated, and potentially that can be an opportunity for Netflix to capitalize on by revamping the content that they have that requires less of a financial investment. When looking at the threats to Netflix, competition is definitely the number one threat that Netflix faces. As the market itself begins to mature, there are less and less new untapped clients to tap into. So the idea now begins to stabilize the market share that you have. The closest competitor being Amazon Prime, which has about 25% of the market share as compared to Netflix's 30% of the market share. When we look at Hulu, Hulu continues to be a company that has maintained their 15% market share steadily, even as Amazon Prime has surpassed them into the number two spot. Additional threats to Netflix are the shrinking global economy, as more and more people are concerned about the disposable income available in their home. Um, Things like Netflix can easily be on the chopping block and potentially be cut. Outside pressures, things like the war in Ukraine and the sanctions that have been placed on Russia by both the United States as well as the European Union, have caused Netflix to lose an additional 700,000 subscribers from the Russian area. And because of that, again, that continues to threaten their performance. We're still living in a world where COVID restrictions are abounding, especially when we talk about production and production areas. Um, so the largest area or one of the larger areas of threats for Netflix is going to be unauthorized account sharing. In fact, Netflix has launched a pilot program in Latin America that allows you to actually add a home where you can on purpose be able to add additional Netflix homes to your account, thereby allowing Netflix to have additional revenue from those additional homes. But the fact that a lot of that unauthorized account sharing is still going unreported and is still not being addressed in the European Union or the United States, there does appear to be a threat to their revenue stream should the unauthorized account sharing not be addressed. Overall, Netflix does appear to be in a very good position to continue to grow, and I would recommend Netflix as a great company should you be looking to invest. Once again, my name is Mike Hackley. I look forward to speaking with you again soon.